Hello and thanks for joining me. So let's have a look at what is happening at Norton. After years of uncertainty, controversy and more resurrections than a zombie in a low-budget horror film, Norton Motorcycles has jumped back into the ring swinging this time, swinging hard, with an entirely new motorcycle lineup. They have 4 new bikes based on 2 new platforms: the Manx R, the Manx, the Atlas and the Atlas GT. These new Norton motorcycles were unveiled at EICMA 2025, and it's fair to say that the reaction has been mixed. This is not surprising. The current customer base for Norton is made up almost entirely of grumpy old men, and nobody hates change more than grumpy old men. And of course, the big aggravator, how dare they? They've changed the Norton logo. Don't mess with our logo. I've even heard accusations that this is a rerun of the Jaguar rebranding. Perhaps we'll all need to change our pronouns before we can ride the new Norton bikes. Maybe not, but I can certainly see similarities in the new logo style, the shape of the bikes and the pastel colour choices. For my part, I was waiting for the new models with eager anticipation, and I had no preconceptions about what the bikes would be like. But I was surprised at what I saw. However, after some consideration and a much closer look at the new bikes, I think it makes sense. So in this video, I want to address some important questions. Namely, what is Norton actually trying to do? What is the strategy behind these new bikes? And can Norton realistically pull off a global comeback in 2026 and beyond? Let's break down what Norton's new models reveal about the new business strategy and what it means for the future of this iconic British brand. I think that the most important aspect of Norton's strategy is this idea of a complete reinvention. It's clear that Norton wants to make a clean break from the past, from the mistakes, the mishaps, the failings, the bad reputation of the past. And now that Norton is backed by TVS Motor Company, it is undergoing what it is itself calling a resurgence strategy. And so this is not just about producing a fresh lineup of bikes, it's about fully rebuilding, coming at it a different way, the way the company designs bikes, manufactures them and positions itself globally. And the company itself talks in terms of 3 pillars of this new strategy: design, dynamics and detail. So in terms of design, they're talking about a coherent modern style, but one which is still rooted in a British heritage. In terms of dynamics, they're talking about real engineering quality, performance and reliability. And in terms of detail, they're talking about premium finishes, premium materials and top level craftsmanship. To me, the most obvious thing from the reveal of these new bikes and the new logo and everything that's gone around it is that the big aspect of Norton's strategy is that they don't want to be a boutique brand anymore. They don't want to be relying on limited runs of specialist bikes for collectors that are very niche. Instead, what Norton is doing is targeting 3 major segments of the motorcycle market. So first of all, they're targeting the superbike segment with the new Manx R. That's a 206 horsepower V4 bike, and that's really meant to show the world that Norton can compete with the likes of Ducati, Aprilia, MV Agusta, BMW and Honda. It wants to be up there with the big boys. The second segment that the company is going for is the naked stroke street bike segment, and that's the Manx. So that's that same high-powered V4 1200cc engine, but in a more upright, urban-friendly sort of street fighter style. And then thirdly, they're going for one of the the really big in terms of volume markets, and that is the adventure and adventure touring segment. So the Atlas and the Atlas GT with their 585cc middleweight engines, that's designed for a global appeal. They are designed to be bikes that are useful for commuting, touring, and what you might call light adventure riding. And it's clear that this diversification is intentional. Norton wants to achieve volume of sales, not just prestige. And it's entering those multiple market segments to give them multiple different ways to succeed. But what about that heritage? Have they just thrown the heritage out the window? Well, Norton are saying no, they haven't. And what they claim that they are trying to do is to retain that British identity whilst achieving a global manufacturing status. And to be fair, that is something that no previous revival of Norton has managed to achieve. Norton's still a British brand. The design, the engineering and the production head office will remain in Solihull in the UK. But with TVS, the big Indian manufacturer behind them, they now have a stable global supply chain. They have much greater manufacturing expertise. They have reliable parts sourcing, and importantly, they have scale. That's something that was never achieved before. And they have scale not just for the UK, but for Europe, the USA, Asia. And if you look past the individual design of the bikes, which I know to a lot of traditionalists has been quite shocking, this hybrid model is actually the same strategy that's already been made successful by companies like Triumph, Royal Enfield, KTM and BMW. So they are following a strategic path which is proven, which can work. There is another aspect of Norton's new strategy which has perhaps been lost a little bit behind the excitement of the new bikes and the new logo design, and that is that they are looking to establish a very strong global dealer network. They are talking about over 200 showrooms starting in 2026, and this is going to be critical for their success. It's one thing offering new bikes to the market, but they're only going to be successful if they have a strong network of dealers that are offering after-sales service, warranty handling, parts support. No premium brand can survive without that, and Norton knows this. And it's a clear sign that they're positioning themselves as a serious long-term player again, not just a boutique operation. The new bikes and Norton's premium positioning make a great deal of sense when you bear in mind that the Norton brand name is now owned by TVS. TVS is a huge global manufacturer. It's the third largest two-wheeler manufacturer in India by both volume and revenue. But what they produce is mainly small capacity bikes with a focus on mopeds, commuters and scooters. I've visited TVS dealers in India and they produce a huge range of bikes that we never see here in the West, though to be fair we are starting to see more of them. Their bikes are excellent, but what they lack is the brand name that will give them the punch to compete with Ducati, MV Agusta and Triumph's higher end models. So now that TVS own the Norton brand name, they can use that to break into these important Western markets. Norton have been quite explicit about their new premium positioning. They want their bikes to be aspirational, they say. Motorcycles you want to buy not just because they're fast, but because they are objects of desire. When you understand that, the link to Nortons of old is clear. It's easy to think these days of classic Nortons such as the original Manx or Atlas as being quaint vintage bikes, but in their day they were the cutting edge of design and performance. And it's clear that this is what the company aims to achieve with these new bikes. They want to take Norton back to producing cutting edge, market leading bikes with a focus on design, emotional appeal, the use of quality materials and craftsmanship. They are not trying to revive retro designs. They are aiming squarely at the premium market and winning customers from manufacturers such as Ducati and MV Agusta. So here's the big question. Will this strategy work? Will Norton succeed this time? I think it's promising, but there are many risks, and those risks are real. Firstly, they must deliver flawless build quality. Norton's past failings weren't just about styling, they were about reliability, and they need to leave that burden, that heritage behind. Secondly, they must support customers. Even the best bikes fail if parts take months or dealerships are sparse. There must be good customer support there if people are going to buy those bikes, and again, that's something that's not been there in the past. A third point is that these segments that they are putting themselves into, you know, these top-end sports bikes, the naked, the high-performance nakeds, and the adventure bikes, very, very competitive market segments. Competition in those segments is brutal. Every segment that they're looking at entering is already filled with very well established, proven bikes produced by rivals, so they've got their work cut out in terms of breaking into those market segments. And fourthly, we haven't seen, at the time of recording this video, we haven't seen the prices yet, but we know that they're going to be premium pricing. They're going at the premium end of the market, and of course premium pricing limits volume of sales. They need enough buyers who are willing to pay for that Norton badge and quality Norton engineering if they're going to pay those premium prices. That's a big ask, so there are a lot of risks there facing Norton. So this is the start. They've launched these 4 new bikes on 2 platforms. So there's the 1200cc V4 engine and there's the 585cc parallel twin engine. Where will they go next? We know that this is just the start of this new strategy. So looking at the currently popular segments of the market, I suggest they will look at a smaller capacity engine in the 350 to 500cc range. We all know that that is a growing market segment, a very popular market segment. In the official materials for Norton's resurgence strategy, their roadmap mentions and I quote, a pair of do anything, go anywhere nomad urban scramblers to fill out the range by the end of the decade. So they're indicating there that they are planning more bikes. Will this be on a new smaller capacity platform or a further adaptation of the 585 engine? I don't know, only time will tell. I hope they come in with a smaller capacity engine. Another possible direction is the introduction down the line of a new retro focused model. I think Norton were right to abandon the 961 Commando. Although I own one and I love mine, I'll admit that this model has reached the end of the line. It was a very niche market, it carries too many legacy problems, and there's not much more that Norton could do with an air-cooled pushrod engine in the face of ever-tightening emission requirements. However, this does leave a gap in the market for a retro-inspired Norton model. The other British brand names now owned by Indian companies such as Royal Enfield and BSA trade heavily on that legacy and the retro styling, retro type bikes. Perhaps Norton will take a page out of Triumph's history book. When John Bloor relaunched Triumph Motorcycles in 1990, he moved right away from the twin-cylinder bikes of the past. Triumph rebuilt itself with a modular range of entirely new, up-to-date, 3 and 4 cylinder engines in bikes borrowing heritage names of Daytona, Trident and Trophy. And I think there's a striking similarity in what Norton is doing now. And remember, at Triumph, it was only after 10 years, when the brand had been firmly re-established, that the company started to make retro style bikes that led to the Bonneville 900 and 1200 range of bikes we have now. So perhaps we will have to wait many years before we see another Norton Commando model come into the market, or some other retro style Norton. So what are my conclusions about this redirection, re-imaging of Norton, their new strategy? Well, I think it's bold, I think it's very ambitious, and, well, if I'm honest, I think it's refreshing. They're not just going to be about making nostalgic retro bikes, they're not going to be making cheap entry level machines, and they're not relying on brand heritage alone. Instead, Norton is trying to position itself as a modern, global, premium manufacturer with serious engineering, serious investment, and a lineup of bikes that is broad enough to reach multiple types of riders in the main market segments. Will it work? Well, we'll see. But for the first time in a long time, it looks like Norton actually has a real plan and a realistic plan, and one which is backed with adequate finance. If they can execute it well, this could be one of the greatest motorcycle comebacks that we've ever seen. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this, and let me know in the comments which, if any, of the new Nortons would you buy, and do you think that this comeback will succeed? Anyway, thanks for watching. Ride safely, hopefully see you again soon. Bye.